It's the All Birdies, No Bogeys podcast, your weekly disc golf analysis podcast right here on JomezPro. It's the Thanksgiving episode. I'm your host, Brian Earhart. My co-host, Nate Perkins, is here, and we have a special guest we all need to be very, very thankful for. He is a prolific West Coast course designer, tournament organizer, a visionary, a molder of discs, and truly a lover of the Frisbee and disc golf in particular. He's a Hall of Famer, a world champion. Tom Schot joins us to tell his story and talk about his book, Dreams Take Flight, which I am in love with. I think this is a phenomenal book, and we're going to talk a lot about that. Nate, what are your experiences with Tom Schot?
Well, Tom actually had a big impact on me with DeLaveaga, and of course, he brought that course to life. And I first met him my first trip to DeLaveaga, and yeah, the man's just a sweetheart, and I consider him a friend now. He's had a big impact on me and a lot of other disc golfers, and I'm really excited to talk to him about. I want to hear about the hitchhiking. I want to hear about this hitchhiking business because I read first part of the book, didn't get to finish it, but hitchhiking to Bali, seeing the Frisbee fly is how this all started. I got to hear more about it, so I'm really excited to talk to Tom.
Tom Schot joins us around Thanksgiving time, and I think, folks, we got to give thanks to the people that helped to lay the groundwork for where we are today in disc sports. And your book, Dreams Take Flight, was such a joy and so refreshing and inspiring. And Tom, I'm so excited to have you here today. Thanks for joining us.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, in your book, right off the bat, I have to ask you, 1973, you said you saw two people playing on the beach in Bali and it kind of blew your mind. But right before you got there, you went on the adventure of a lifetime after graduating high school and leading up to that first moment seeing Frisbee. I want you to kind of explain what those adventures were like and how you got started there.
Well, when I got out of high school, I wasn't college bound, even though I dreamed of that. But me and my friends, there's two other guys, we wanted to go to Europe on a tramp steamer. So we hitchhiked, and then we ended up riding freight trains to New York and got busted there, spent the night in jail. And then we ended up splitting up, and they went to my two friends went to Mexico, and then I stayed in New York for a couple months, saved my money, and I tried to buy a ticket to Europe, but it didn't work out. So I ended up going to Puerto Rico. And I was in Puerto Rico when the Kennedy put the blockade on Cuba, so that was kind of sketchy. So I got out of there, went back, flew to Miami on a one-way ticket, no money in my pocket, hitchhiked 4 days to California, got back to California, and then I took my friend down. He was gonna join the Navy, so I took him down to the recruiter's office, and I was in the Navy before he even started. They had me signed up that day. So that happened. I got out of the Navy and came back, thought I was a real man then at 20 years old or 21, and ended up getting married and having two kids. And that went like 4 years. And then I got the travel bug. So I decided to, I was a terrible business person. You're going to find out that through this whole podcast that I know nothing about business. So I was a contractor, and of course I went broke. And I had, then I went to Australia, and New Zealand, Australia, in that area for a while. And from there, I traveled up through Indonesia, Malaysia. And when I was in Indonesia, in Bali, there was a couple guys playing with a pro on the beach out there. They weren't doing any tricks, but they could make that disc fly so far. And it was so easy, like it wasn't wobbling, it was just sailing in the breeze there. It was amazing. So that kind of garnished my thoughts right then. And when I came back from my trip, which was a whole nother story, that trip, when I got back to California, I was staying with my friend George Maple, and we started throwing a Black Master back and forth. And then all of a sudden, here's a UCSC over in Santa Cruz. Monica Lou and Alicia Maris was doing a demo. And I just couldn't believe it. They were skipping the disc off the pavement and catching it behind their back. How'd they do that? So that kind of just sparked me right there, and I've been involved ever since.
Well, Tom, as I read this book, you say you're a terrible businessman, but
Oh, terrible.
but Tom, what I gather from these stories is an undeniable entrepreneurial spirit and a passion for what you do. And I want you to talk about when you came back so inspired and you started playing some Frisbee yourself. You, in this book, you have people talking about how you kind of transformed the landscape out there in Santa Cruz. Where did that even start? I mean, that's a mecca of disc golf history out there.
Well, yeah, in the book, I wrote that I went to work for TWA, and I've always been an organizer. I've always organized trips in high school and things here. And when I started playing a lot, and they had the North-South Frisbee Championships, yeah, in Fresno, and I went down there and I was able to play on the ultimate team. And I ended up going to the Rose Bowl with my friend George. And I forget, I think it was 75. And I'm just sitting there, they had half the Rose Bowl was filled with people, and the other half, nobody was there, for the cameras to be on the one side. And I was saying, why can't I do this? So when I came back to Santa Cruz, I organized in 77. I put a team tournament on, and I had five different group: Modesto, the UFOs from Sonoma, Santa Cruz, San Jose, and one other team. That was phenomenal. That tournament, I had all the events, 2 days. It's in the book. It was really, I mean, everybody was here. And so the next year, all of a sudden, I was going to do a big tournament at Cabrillo because I want to do the Rose Bowl. I wanted to do that tournament. So someone comes knocking on, well, first of all, in 77, the four guys knock on my door: Kevin Gibbons, Andy Yates, Evan Furtado, and Michael Young, Michael Young was probably the most phenomenal disc player at that time. And they got involved. And then in 78, Ken Westerfield and Mary Catherine knock on my door. They show up in Santa Cruz. Oh, we want to be a part of this. So we immediately bonded. That was a great adventure. And we put the 78 tournament on March, Easter vacation. We were threatened by the weather and all this, but it was we packed it. It was a great tournament. So then after, you want me to keep going?
I actually have a quick question for you.
Okay.
When you get connected with these people, was that through anything to do with the IFA or the IFA newsletter or anything like that?
Nothing.
Well, then continue.
Okay. And so when Kenny showed up, that was a big thing. He brought the heart of the disc world with him. I mean, he started freestyle. He was involved way before me. Now, I'm not the first people that got involved with disc sports. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time with the right attitude and that kind of stuff. So 78 was an amazing. Here's another thing with 78 too, which is really good. You're going to get
good year.
Yeah, we made our own mold.
I read that.
We spent $5,000 and produced a mold. And Kenny designed it. We were the first players to make a mold. And it just recently, the last couple of years, I'm talking to people who worked for Whammo, and they said, yeah, I was a threat, because at that, nobody else had done that. And at that time in Frisbee tournaments, you could only use a Whammo product. And so, we busted that right off the bat. So I got kind of credited with breaking Whammo's monopoly on that.
Yeah.
Was, I'm hanging that on my shoulders now. And I just learned that the last couple of years.
Tom, I want to ask you, because in the book, you said that you didn't want Whammo to be exclusively used at your events. You wanted to kind of break the mold, like you said. And then you said the first iteration of the disc that you made, the shoulder was too wide. It didn't fly too well. What were you trying to do with that initial disc that was different from what you guys were throwing before with the Whammos?
Well, we wanted to make money in the first place. You know, we wanted, because all of us were broke. We wanted to make money, and the design it sucked. It really sucked. The cooling process sucked. Everything, the warpage. We didn't have hot stamp, and we had to put all the stickers on by hand, and it's hard to get them centered, all that kind of stuff. So I mean, we in '79, I got it. Here's another story. I got asked to come down and interview with a company called Brand X down in Los Angeles, and they had 7 molding machines, and they had a disc that they produced for the advertising market. They give away at Burger King or the cheap discs. And so I took my disc down there, and we filled that thing with phosphorus. We made it really heavy because moonlighters were coming out a little bit. Whammo had the moonlighter, so we just poured phosphorus in it. And Dave Dunapace credits me with making the first heavy discs. I mean, they were like really heavy, 260, 265.
260.
I mean, they're like rocks, and it didn't fly very well, but we made sales, we made a little bit, but eventually that mold was sold to, when Brand X sold, it went to AMF, and they just discarded it.
I want to backtrack real quick, and I want you to paint more of a picture about the Rose Bowl, because I've heard so many stories about it. And you mentioned 50,000 people in the book. And I want you to paint the picture for people who maybe just got into disc golf, what that celebration of disc culture was like at the Rose Bowls, and how did it affect you as just an individual who played this game?
Well, when I was at the Rose Bowl, at the time right then, I was so into it. It's like all I wanted to do is play catch and throw the disc, see how far I could throw it, run and see what you could do. And the Rose Bowl, it just had all that professional energy there. I mean, it was all organized. It was, they're all in the same shirts out in the field out there, what I mean? And the crowd went nuts. It was I just can't explain how much energy there was in the flight of that disc at that time. It was, and I talked to Stork about this a lot. And he quotes me about the anticipation we have when the disc is in the air. What's it's going to do? It's just like when you go to a baseball game. Did the guy hit it hard enough to go out of the park? You're anticipating that ball traveling through the air. What's going to happen? Same thing on disc golf. What's going to happen? Is that disc going to turn? Is it going to hit a tree? So there was so much energy going around the country. You just can't imagine. And to skip forward a little bit, in '81, to tell you how much energy was out there. It's like it's in the book. I've taken my kids on a road trip after that, and we're leaving Reno after spending the night. And here's 2 guys hitchhiking with my T-shirt on back to New York City. They hitchhiked all the way out just to be in that tournament.
No way.
You know what I mean? That's
magic.
It's the magic that was happening, and just to see where the disc has gone from the time I've been in there to now, it's just unbelievable. I mean, last night I went to Stumptown, which is Portland's club. Amazing. It was an amazing event last night. It's just so much energy, and I'm so thrilled to be a part of that.
Well, one of the things that I think a lot of people can relate to, even if they got into disc golf later, is DeLaveaga, the course that you had a large part in putting in the ground and kind of spurring the growth of Santa Cruz disc golf and the culture out there. Can you kind of talk about DeLaveaga as a whole? And Nate, I know you in Santa Cruz, you have a strong tie there as well. So I'd love for you guys to kind of talk about that course. But Tom, kick it off. Tell the story of when you first came across that land.
Well, my first course was at Cabrillo, a little junior college, and we got asked to leave there because we're throwing disc right in the quad, and people going to school. Then we went to UCSC, and I put a course in there, no permission, just did it. That that was an amazing, amazing course. That was probably one of the best projects. And eventually we were asked to leave there because once the bevel edge came out and the danger factor and all this throwing through students and all that, we were asked to leave. And so I searched all over the area, and I wanted to go. There was a beautiful park right out by the steamer lane, lighthouse field. I put a course in there that lasted maybe 3 weeks. The dog walkers rebelled, and so I kept looking. And DeLaveaga was a place where we used to go up and drink beer in high school, make out on this little roads off the way and everything. But that was the hangout.
Yes.
And it was an amazing piece of property. The ball golf course wasn't there,
Okay.
at that time.
So that was just all oaks.
In high school, there was a motorcycle track up there. There was a big softball complex, all that. Then the ball golf course came in and took all that out. And there was still, DeLaveaga was controlled by the state. They had 1/3, the county had 1/3, and the city had 1/3. So we used the county property, and it was nothing but a dump site. I mean, people would just take their garbage up there and dump on the site instead of taking it 10 miles to the dump. And it was just loaded with poison oak, and everybody, you can't do this. You just can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. But I got a few people, and we just keep pounding away and developed it. And we had big green posts with little white tags around the top. You had to hit between the white tags. And we bought 4 baskets. Ed supported us with 4 baskets. And so we put those right alongside the road. So when the people came up and down, they'd see the baskets. What are these? But the poison oak eventually got almost cleared. I mean, it still runs rampant there. But, and it was all, everything at that time, everything was par 3s. And it was just, we were the hot spot on the West Coast. I mean, there was La Mirada and there, but there was no other course like DeLa. There was woods
Still
and
isn't.
terrain, and we had top of the world, and and started doing the Masters Cups in '86, and I wanted everybody to win money, so I gave $1 back for everyone that got a birdie. So I could list the prize money out there. There was no pro and amateur divisions, and everybody was a pro. But DeLa really, it came and Masters Cup. I mean, I've got all the records and everything. It's an amazing event, and it's lost a little bit of the grandeur because the courses are so big now with par 4s and par 5s, and spectator. You can't control spectators at DeLa because they got the main road going right through there. But it was just an amazing spot. And I've had pros and cons over the course, from different people come from all over the world to play it. So it is an amazing spot.
How easy was it to convince Santa Cruz to put the course in the ground? Like, what is that sell like during that time?
Well, we got the city behind us. They gave us some dumpsters to help clean up the mess. And sometimes, Brian, we'd find envelopes with addresses in the garbage, and we'd take it back to that address and just dump it on their front porch, on the front yard.
Wow.
That's what
Good
we
for
did.
you.
I mean, we really made a statement. And so at one time, the city wanted to put 9 holes up there, another of ball golf. They wanted, but there was such a big backlash from the community over that. I mean, disc golf was really growing at that time, and supervisors' kids were playing and stuff like that. And but we did have a backlash, and DeLa did make it through.
Nate, I know
Yeah.
you have a strong tie to this place, and
Yeah.
I'd love for you to kind of speak on your
Mhm.
experiences there. And yeah, if you have any questions for Tom.
Well, I'm thinking about how I want to begin this, and I think I'll tell my story a little bit, Tom, because I think one piece of it. for sure, because you came up to me at DeLa and talked to me about how disc golf led me to love. But I actually want to start a little bit before that, because I'll go back to 2015. I was in college at the University of Texas in Austin, and I had already become addicted to disc golf because I found it again at the collegiate level at UT Austin, and I was barely set up to finish school because of how much I wanted to play disc golf, how many tournaments I was signing up for. And I remember studying for, my finals in the spring, and I was watching on YouTube, I was watching Central Coast Disc Golf, and I was watching the Masters Cup, and it had such a profound effect on me. I remember Dustin Keegan was actually made the lead card for round 2, and it had such a profound effect on me seeing disc played in a setting like DeLaveaga. That was my primary reason for getting in my Prius and leaving for tour, is because I saw DeLaveaga and the Salmon River Disc Golf Tournament up in Cecilville.
Oh, nice. You went there.
And Masters Cup. And I did. And what happened, Tom, was my dad at the time was super supportive of me pursuing disc golf, and he signed me up for the Salmon River Disc Golf Tournament without me knowing, right? And then all of a sudden, middle of the night, Tom, later that spring, I get a call from Greg Barsby, just randomly at like 1:00 in the morning, and he's like, yo, it's Greg. And I'm like, wait, what? Greg who? And he's like, dude, it's Barsby. I'm like, this is not real right now. He's like, you're signed up for DeLa and Salmon River? Come pick me up. Let's do this. And looking back, I get the chills, like almost in tears, because it's completely shaped my life. I had no idea. I didn't leave to try and be a professional disc golfer. I left simply because these places were like pulling me to them, like the beauty and just the, you talked about, you have free spirit in the title of your book. And I didn't know that my spirit was kind of like needing that I needed that sense of adventure, that sense of exploration. And so it's so serendipitous. You talk about going to Bali and seeing the Frisbee fly, and then the impact that you come back and have on the game. You install this course in Santa Cruz, and then years later, 40 years later, 30 something years later, it pulls me, young 21-year-old Nate, across the United States to this spot, which then I realized that this is what I want to do with my life. I want to pursue this sport. And flash forward 8 years later, I was still halfway touring. I was in my van. I'd been living in my van for 8 years.
Of course.
And I was working partially with the Disc Golf Network and partially just still playing tournaments, kind of leaning more toward broadcasting at the time. And I was in Arkansas for one of the Elite Series at Jonesboro. And one week later was the Masters Cup. So I finished on a Sunday in Arkansas, and I'm looking at the map. I'm like, man, that's really far away. I don't know if I want to push that drive. And I thought for a moment, I'm like, I think I need this. I think I need DeLaveaga. I think I need the Masters Cup. And so I decided to send it. I sent it 2,000 miles. I get there on a Thursday. Shasta Chris and I meet up, and he's like, let's go to the Masters Cup party. And so we go to the putt night at the brewery, and they're putting in the back of the brewery. And right then and there is where I met Catherine. I met my wife, and
I know the story.
It's just incredible, Tom, to think about if you hadn't seen those Frisbees fly in Bali and hadn't been the spirit that you are and were back then, and to come back and share that magic of the flight that you felt, I also would have never, I don't know if I would have ever toured. I don't know if I would have met my wife. So when you're telling the story, the way that it all unfolds when you look back is so interesting. And so it's really special to talk to you and hear you tell the story.
You know, the disc golf, I mean, the family of disc golfers. It's like, I mean, I went and had my dermatology thing the other day at the clinic, and I'm asking the doctor, "You ever play disc golf?" And oh, boom, his eyes just lit up. I mean, absolutely lit up. I mean, he was an ultimate player and a disc golf player and everything. We all started playing ultimate. That's where
Yep.
before disc golf was really going, and it just we're still bonded, even though he probably doesn't play golf anymore or anything. We have that relationship. We have that
Yeah.
connection. We have
Yeah.
a
It's so true.
it is true, the connection we have with
And, and
disc.
And I want to ask you a bit more about DeLaveaga because that course has kind of molded quite a few like icons of our sport. And for me, I'm not so in tune with the history, but for me, some of those more modern icons are, Greg Barsby and even Paul Macbeth. I know he didn't totally cut his teeth there, but his dominance of that course, I feel like played a big role in his confidence and in going and dominating other tournaments around the world. And then, of course,
Nate
Nate
Doss.
Doss, three-time world champ, coming
Never
from
won
there, and
DeLa.
it never won DeLa. Won worlds there, but
Yeah.
never won DeLa. And some of the most, the Barsby's roller ace out there, and just yeah, their battle, Barsby and Doss's battle. And I just want to ask you, kind of when was it in the history of DeLa that you kind of saw the page turn and realize like, oh, people started to travel here for from the word of mouth, but also for the coveted title of the Masters Cup. Like, when did that start happening in your eyes?
I think it started happening when the prize money purse went up. That was a big one because we were first, second, or third every year on the purse. And it was we in the beginning, we did all those big events in Santa Cruz. We were Frisbee Town, USA for a while. I mean, we're still there. And it wasn't just coming to play DeLa, which seemed to be at one time that was the number one course on everybody's bucket list. They had to play it. It was just that it was that Santa Cruz. It was, it just drew people there. You know what I mean? It right now I can't afford to live there. It's so expensive, but it's like people just gravitated there, and DeLa was the meeting place. You know, I can't explain what really DeLa did for me. It gave me a whole foundation. It gave me roots. It gave me all kinds of backing, and recognition, you know,
Yeah,
which was really good. So
yeah.
DeLa
Go
is a
ahead,
special
Brian.
place, and it's still. Yeah, I mean, it's probably ranked in the top 100 somewhere. It's not the big courses anymore. The world is creating all these phenomenal courses. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah,
You guys
Well,
get to go see them all. That's what's really nice.
yeah. Thanks
and
to
you know
you.
what's funny? I still have such a special place in my heart for DeLa. There are certain things that you have to think about there that you're not really thinking about, even on some of the biggest, most grand courses in the modern game. Why do you think, even now that it's not a national tour or a pro tour, why do you think the best young players in the world are still coming to Santa Cruz to play this course? What is it about the design and the holes that bring people here still?
It's more than the design of the holes. It's Santa Cruz. I mean, I keep going back to Santa Cruz because
It's true.
it
It's
is, it
magnetic.
is what it's the ocean. It's Santa Cruz. But it's also, I mean, Canterbury won last year and beat Nicholas on that
Yeah.
phenomenal hole. No one
How
birdied
did he
the
birdie
whole
that?
tournament. He birdies
How did he
birdies the
birdie
first.
it?
But I mean, and he's won twice there.
Uh-huh. His
The
first
first
big
time
win.
was there, and the next big one he came. He did on the final round. He didn't get one birdie at DeLa, not one, and every hole was birdieable. I mean, we've had such. I mean, Climo's won 6 times. Macbeth has won 5 times. Wasaki is one of our favorite people to come play that course. We love him. It's just, I think it's a camaraderie when people come to play DeLa, and they, Cannon and all these, they just regroup there. It's just a moment of time that you're at a special place and you just love hanging out. I mean, when the tournament's over, these guys are still out there putting on practice baskets. I mean, it's getting dark and they're just still disc at the practice basket.
Yeah, and you really don't see too much of that anymore. A lot of times the professionals are done with their round and they get out of there as soon as they can to rest up and come back the next day. Tom, I want to fast forward a little bit into a section of the book that I want you to paint another picture for us. Um, there's a chapter where you talk about disc sports hitting their prime, and you talk a lot about the 80s. And as I read the chapter, I see Miller Lite, I see all these different big companies starting to sponsor disc golf. What was happening in the 80s that got that type of recognition?
Well, advertisers they're always looking for the next hottest thing. And it was a big sales thing getting Miller. I mean, I borrowed the 1978 Rose Bowl tape, with a big canister and everything, and I took it up there and
Wow.
I let them go see it. Of course, they lost it, and they never gave it back to me. And
No.
that was a big thing.
Oh,
But
no.
oh yeah, but Miller, they were always they were supportive of me. I knew the local bottler here in Santa Cruz, which really helped. But in 80, what was the 83, we had Miller. It was so big. I went from Cabrillo over to San Jose and rented Spartan Stadium, which was 20,000. I want to be like the Rose Bowl. Just to go back a little bit before that, in '79, I tried to get the San Francisco Kaiser Stadium up there where the 49ers played. I had no idea. I had no money. I'm trying to do this. We had Greenpeace was going to be a sponsor, which they wanted 90% of the gate.
Oh,
So, oh gosh, yeah. Like I said, I wasn't a business person. I just had heart and I just had drive that kept my ideas going. But what created Santa Cruz after I did all those overall tournaments in '86, I just finally had to stop. I kept losing money every single year. And disc golf, I kept saying, it's only one event. We can really make that happen. And boy, it did happen. DeLa was born, and it's still thriving today. The Masters Cup is going to happen again. So
I guess I want to talk more, Tom, about as we move into disc golf specifics. You ran a world championship in 2011 in
the
Santa
best.
Cruz, and it was arguably the greatest world championship of all time. Page is first, Doss is last. I mean, just talk about the whole story leading up to that. What was the dream leading up to that tournament?
All right, so I forget what the year was. It might have been '89. Our club applied to the PDGA to do the Worlds in Santa Cruz. We were the hot tournament. They already knew where it was going. We were the only ones there to do the proposal, and usually, if nobody else is there, you got it. But they gave it to Burns in Detroit. So I just kind of put that on the back burner and for years and years and years, and I didn't do any. Marty was doing the Masters Cup, and we had other tournament directors came in and did great jobs at Masters Cup. And there was no home for the Worlds for 2011. So I walked into the office and I just said, Russ, I was sharing an office with his attorney, Russ Jacobson. And I said, you want to put the Worlds on? He goes, let's do it. So I contacted Brian and we put a proposal in. We only had like 13 months to do it. And at this time, Avery, Valerie were living in Santa Cruz, and oh, you can't do it. Oh, we're not ready. We can't do this. We can't do that. But that was an amazing story. How everybody pitched in. We had 4 courses. We played every 27 holes once a day on each course. You played one round, you were done. You didn't at that time. The Worlds, you had to play 2 rounds a day. And so we sold. That was such an amazing tournament. We were the first tournament to sell out the Worlds. 460 players sold out. Had the biggest international field. First tournament to break $100,000 prize money. I mean, it was every night we had something. And of course, we had the wharf thing. That's an amazing story with me and Sam Ferentz on that deal. But it was just amazing. And when I went to USDGC, I gave it up to UC for Finland. I mean, it's like nothing compares to that. I mean, Finland. Finland. That was amazing this year. Absolutely amazing.
Yes.
And when you see, an event like they hosted in Finland, I mean, what is your reaction to that? I mean, there must be a sense of pride, but what is it like for you to bear witness to the birth of this sport and this burst of growth that we had in 2020, and now I feel that it's even pushing into some new territory. What is that like for you to witness, Tom?
It's just absolutely amazing. Like, I mean, the Jeff Springs and the Jomez and Central Coast. I mean, there's so many people so many entrepreneurs that have come into our sport, business people. I mean, in the beginning, there's no business people in there. I mean, Pace was the biggest business person at the time because him and Solinsky had this vision, and that they were amazing. But now the entrepreneurship is amazing. Look at all the disc golf bags that are made. Look at all the carts that are made. Look at all the TV production that's going on. Look at your jobs. Look at
Yeah.
It's blossomed out. Like I can't explain it, but I'm just in love with it. I love all these entrepreneurs coming up with the new ideas. I went to this ultimate game in Portland last year. It's in the biggest stadium in Portland, and I'm asking, who has this team? And they pointed to this guy. He must be 35 years old, a young entrepreneur with a business mind coming in to take this thing to another level. I love it.
Tom, I want to continue on this. So in an interview you did that I listened to, you were talking about investing into disc golf, and you said, there's some people that invest money, and that's fine, but there's the most important people invest effort. And I want you to kind of effort and time, and I want you to talk about, that from your perspective as a tournament director and organizer, but then also the people around you that built this just for the sake of building it. Just talk about what those feelings are.
Well, in the beginning, it's your way or the highway, and as you go from one event to the next event and you grow, that leaves, the hardest thing, Brian, for me to learn was to delegate. And once you delegate, you bring in other people who are a part of it, and it's their love also. They might not have the same vision and everything, but they have the same love for it. And so that's how it grows. And I mean, thank God for Marty Hapner. I mean, just an amazing person. He's just done so much. And CJ, Santa Cruz has an amazing group of people, and people have moved there just to be a part of that. Skippy Jammer, Kevin Gibbons, he's in Santa Cruz. Ed Hedrick came to Santa Cruz. I remember having lunch. I go, Ed, what are you doing in Lakeport? This is where it's happening right now. Boom. He was down in Santa Cruz. So what was your question?
Well, no, you answered it just fine. And I have a part 2 to it, because it feels like, these days I talk to a lot of club leaders in different parts of the country, and they say it almost feels like we had more people investing their effort and time before the big boom of disc golf, almost because of like the bystander effect. There's so many people that could help. Why would I take time to invest in my community? How do you instill that in people? How do you get that to continue on even as the sport grows to the levels it's growing to?
You know, how do you continue? You recognize the love that they have for it. That's it. I mean, you don't discredit them. Oh, what are you playing frisbee again or something? You recognize that love that they have for it, and you encourage them to be involved in that. You know, I've done a couple book signings here, and I've had people come up to me, and I've never met them before, and they brought their kids in, and the kids are in love with it. You know, that's the really cool thing about disc golf over all the other disc sports, and I go through all this too. Disc golf, it's not like, I mean, I go play with a lot of people, and I love playing with new people, and I love seeing when they make a good shot. If they throw 20 feet and all of a sudden they can throw the disc flat and it goes 40 feet, and they're so excited. Or they make a 30-foot putt or a 10-foot putt. They never do that before. They're so excited. It's that excitement level in them to do it. And it's like, you got to acknowledge that the love that they have for it, you know, for that feeling. So I hope that answered that question.
Most definitely. And Tom, I want to kind of continue on. I actually want to talk about 2011. So we
Okay.
kind of we started talking about UC and his tournament and how grand of a scale it was, but I remember in 2011 seeing Seppo Payu hit that shot off the wharf onto the beach, and my imagination blew up and ran wild. The next summer, I interned for the PDGA, and that changed the course of my life. But it started watching some of these wonderful things that
No
happened in
way.
Santa Cruz. So, can you just go into more detail about the week? Because here's what I have to read for you. On the back of your book, Jumpin' Joe, is it Fight? How do you
Fight.
pronounce the last name?
Fight.
Jumpin' Joe Fight says, Tom Schot was the Barnum and Bailey of Frisbee fun. His many events always offered fun, surprises, good competition, and camaraderie. Tom, the impish impresario of discdom, transformed Santa Cruz into the center of the flying disc universe. That doesn't come from nowhere. What did you care about when it comes to running tournaments and in the world championships? What were the big things that you wanted to happen, and how did you make them happen?
Well, I didn't want any dead time. That's, you know, I didn't want to, we had a whole week. We had all these evenings, and we had, I just like to do things classy. It's just my style, you know what I mean? I had red carpet all over for the players meeting. I had red carpet and a nice rope going along with in the gymnasium, and that was a great players meeting. I mean, when they introduced me, they were saying Tom Schot, you know. And I was disappointed because Crazy went on forever talking, and I never got to talk. You know what I mean? I got up to say, "Yeah, I love you guys. That's it." That was over. You know. And then we did. We had the Chains movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's several hundred seat theater. We sold it out. People were sitting in the aisles, and it went on for like 3 hours. The movie went on so long, it never really finished. But it was just like, okay, is it over yet? You know. And then we had. Of course, we had 27 holes every day, which was nice. And then we had the players' party at the Coconut Grove, and where we had the Hall of Fame inductees and everything. That was a disaster as far as I'm concerned. Everybody had a great time, but when I rented it, do you want to rent use our sound system, or you want to bring in their sound system? Well, I don't want to spend any more money, but there were so many people in that room. The chatter level was so high, you couldn't hear anybody on the stage. And of course, I brought in some exotic dancers too. You know, some of them didn't have any teeth. You know, but
Hey,
it was,
that's all right.
oh my gosh! And I took a lot of heat from there too, because some of the people go, "How could you do this?" You know, but it was just, I just love to do things different. And then the wharf thing, that was an amazing thing. Uh, I offered $5,000 if you hit the ace, and you got three. Well, first first shot was five. The next two shots were 500. And so Sam Ferens, he wanted his banners they wanted to put their banners on the wharf because the wharf was just packed with people. So I made a deal with him. If he hits it, you got to split it with me. And so we're walking around and everything's going on. And all of a sudden the crowd goes nuts. And I go, oh, crap, I'm out. But it was just, oh,
What have I
Sam was
done?
he was having a hard time too. You know what I mean? Oh, what did I do? That kind of stuff. But it was on the second shot. And then
And
it was,
so Tom, the situation with Pinto, that course was unveiled for the 2011 Worlds, right? And how did you make that happen with that piece of land over there?
I thought that was the greatest piece of land I've ever seen. And I want to get either Dustin or Avery or somebody to come in and redesign that property because it is like golden property. And it's got parking, it's got a gate, you can have a pro tour there. It's got everything you need, but it was just overloaded, had gang affiliations, there was graffiti all over the place. It was just people didn't want to go into the park, and so we just first thing we did, we opened up the walking paths. That was the very first thing we did. We cleared the path so people could go up in the park and start walking around, and we just started pounding on it. And we got a lot of great local support from Watsonville. I mean, I got a key to the city for doing that. That was an amazing thing. And I still feel Pinto is the hidden gold thing. The views are amazing. The wildlife's amazing. The meadow's amazing. And I didn't know what to do with the meadow, but Jim Oates says, "Oh, make everything out of bounds." So we put every hole in the
You're
meadow is
right,
out of
Jim.
bounds. Everything.
Yeah,
So it's still tough, but
it
the
is. It's a great
redundant
course.
the redundancy of the meadow needs to be worked on.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And the scale might need to be worked on as well. But I just think when I think and hear stories of 2011 Worlds, I always think about how Pinto was kind of pushing into some new territory with the distances out there. And yeah, I hear stories about Avery eagling a hole. I think the first to
11,
eagle that par five out
yeah,
there. Yeah,
1,280 feet.
yeah, yeah, and it's stories like that, that yeah, they kind of hold on to that era of disc golf a bit where you would come back and there wasn't live scoring yet, and people are like, "Wait, Avery got a 3 on that hole? Like, how, did you throw it in? Like, how did it happen?" And yeah, Pinto, I think you're right. It's kind of a hidden treasure of that tournament.
One memory I had a scaffolding built up 4 stories high in the middle of the field, so the film people could get some shots, and they were able to get Will Schustreck's ace on hole 9, and
What?
they were
On
far
top
away,
of the
but then
scaffolding?
the whole that whole flight and going skipping into the basket was, amazing, so it's a real sanctuary place. It's the eagles fly there, a lot of wildlife. And when I designed that meadow, I I left more area for wildlife. I mean, nothing goes in that grassy area. That's all out of bounds. That's just we have turtles. They have all kinds of stuff there.
Nate, I want to throw it to you. I've been going through this book and kind of dancing around different chapters, but anything else that you have for Tom?
Well, I want to ask you about the intention of writing the book and how you got past that like difficult barrier of putting pen to paper. And I guess this is 3 questions in one, Tom. So I'll start with the first. Talk about the intention behind the book. What do you hope this book leaves behind?
Uh, what I hope it leaves behind is a period of time. I don't know what's going on, but I applaud all the new entrepreneurs and everything. But this book is about a period of time, and it's just not about me. It's about those two guys hitchhiking to New York and back. You know, the drive and the love we had to be a part of this. And Ken Westerfield said, if you don't write your timeline in your book, I'm taking credit for it. That's what he told me. So I started years ago. I mean, probably 10 years ago, I started my outline and it just died. And then I ran into Jim Palmieri in his book, and how long did it take you to write your book, Jim? 8 years. Took 8 years. So
reignited
all right,
your flame.
okay, all right. So then I'm thinking, okay, I don't have any retirement. No, I got to do something. I got to keep some kind of income coming in a little bit. So, all right, I'm gonna write this book. So I hired a ghostwriter. Didn't interview anybody else, just the first person that came along. I hired her, and she worked with me. And it took 2 years to write this book.
Yeah.
And the thing about the book, it's one thing to write it, and then you got to publish it. Right now, there's a zillion people writing books, and there's so many people out there. Oh, we can help you do this. We can help you do that, and all that. And that's another thing, is to get it published. And then after you get it published, then you're going to market it. And the marketing's the hardest part. I mean, I thought I was going to sell 400 books the first time I put it on Facebook. You know what I mean? It's like, duh, I sold like 40, but it's the process. And the book, Nate, is a little bit more than the story of disc golf or disc sports. It's a little bit, it's more about the different entrepreneurs that follow their dreams, that have curveballs thrown at them all the time. And then maybe they're not business people or that kind of stuff, but they have dreams and they want, it's their love, it's their love in their life. And I witnessed this love all the time. I mean, it like I said, it's watching that dad see his kid throw, and his kid makes a 20-foot putt, and is so excited. His dad is so excited, or his mom, or whatever. It's that love we have for this game.
Yeah,
and
it's threaded through our sport. Like, it feels like there's a larger thread of love through our sport than others. And of course, I'm biased because I've fallen deeply in love with this one in particular. But there's something about, you mentioned the anticipation when the disc is in the air. There's something grand about the flight of a Frisbee, and just, you're just in awe of it. And I tell you one thing, Tom, that I feel pretty strongly is, you might have sold 40 books when you put it on Facebook, and you might not be at the numbers that you want to be at right now, but when disc golf is in the Olympics, when Brian and I are calling disc golf when we're in our 60s, past, we're talking 30 years from now, 2050, your book is going to be something that people can return to and look back on those first threads. How did this happen? Like, where did this all begin? So if you don't feel that reward now, I can sense that it's coming later for sure.
Oh, it's coming. I mean, it's coming. I got to show you this. I'm going to bring this picture out. See that right there?
Yes,
Who's
sir.
that?
That's Ben Affleck wearing my 1978 shirt.
No, what?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I don't know how he got it, but I just sent him and his whole production thing, the book, and with his picture in there.
That's great. I hope he reads it.
I do too. I mean, I'm still excited about this stuff. I'm 80 years old, and I just
we can sense it.
I'm excited about it. I'm going to go down to LA and see Stork and Mark Horn and Stokely and Zappenfield, all those my friends down there. I'm excited to just go in there and see the smiles on their faces when when we see each other. It's just like when you go to your tournaments, Nate and Brian. You guys see these people that you're working with all the time, and what are we going to do now? it's
It's
that bond
family.
we have, you know? It's that
Yeah,
family.
it is. I try to describe it, to my wife, I'm like saying that these people are my friends doesn't quite do it justice, and they're certainly not just business acquaintances, they're family. They're people that I'll follow for the rest of my life. I'll keep
Yeah,
up
of
with for the
course.
rest of my life, and disc golf really does bring communities together. I think that it's the greatest quality of disc golf is that it brings you community, and I think that's something that we're all missing right now in
Uh-huh.
in modern life. And so, yeah, what you've done to be a catalyst for the growth of disc golf, it really has a big impact on people's lives, really around the world, Tom.
Well, I appreciate that, and it was really great going back east, I went back east for 3 weeks to the USDGC and the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships. It
All
was
right.
really I never really realized the recognition that I had. I'm known on the West Coast, I was a big disc golfer here and ultimate player and everything, but on the East Coast, I've only known the people who have come to Santa Cruz. And back there, it was just like it was an amazing trip. Even I just can I share one quick story?
Of
Yeah, share
course.
it.
I'm in Emporia. I go to a book signing in Emporia at Jeremy's place on his golf course there, and my friend, she works at Discmania where I was staying, so she took me on a tour there, and this is an 80,000 square foot warehouse. 2.2 million discs there. And they were having a meeting upstairs. And I go, God, I just love to go in and say hi to these guys. And this person give me the tour saying, oh, I don't think we should. You know what I mean? I think it's kind of private. You know what I mean? It's all the big wheels or something. And so when the tour was over, I'm going to go upstairs. I'm just going to walk by the window, you know? So I go up there and here's Avery sitting there and he recognized me. And I walk in and I start just taking over this meeting and tell them how proud I was of them and all this stuff of where they come from and all the people they were employed. And I mean, the parking lot was full of employees. It was just an amazing recognition of where the sport has come from. It just blows me away. It absolutely blows me away.
Tom, thank you so much for not only the stories, but for the infectious energy. I think it's just inspiring to both me and Nate Perkins. I think it's very easy, to get hung up on certain things, but then to zoom out and realize how far we've truly come is a big deal. And we appreciate that. Tom, as we wrap this up, I want you to uh, say something to the listeners that are hearing your stories today. Anything that you want to say directly to the people watching and listening to you today.
Well, the people who are playing golf right now, I mean, if you have that bug, you're part of my life. My DNA is in you, and I it, just read my story. It'll inspire you to just keep loving the game. And I mean, I, I love it. I'm going to keep going. I want to be the first Centurion champion.
Would love to see it.
Oh
Well,
yeah, me
Tom
too.
Schot, his book, Dreams Take Flight, is available on Amazon. Go read this book. It is truly a breath of fresh air. Tom, thank you so much for your time, my friend. I'm sure this is not the last time we'll have you on the show. Thank you.
I hope not, because I have so much more to talk about.
Great to see you again, Tom. Look forward to the
Good
next
to see
time.
you too, Nate. And I'll see you at Masters Cup.
I'll see you there.
Okay. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate this. You
Of
guys
course.
did a great job. This was fun.
Thank you. Whew. Well, first time for everything, almost cracked. You can't end the show like that, Tom. You can't make me cry on my own show saying something so beautiful. Nate, I saw you there. I saw you almost losing it.
Yeah, I was. I did almost lose it a couple times because to feel someone who really just loves the game still into his 80s. It's wild, Brian. It's wild how looking back and how the one person's actions can affect so many that come behind him. And yeah, he obviously still loves the game. To hear that he's like keeping up with it and watching modern tournaments is pretty cool. And yeah, I just really I got that I really did get that ping that one day his book's gonna be like a hit. Like when disc golf really booms, people are gonna look back at the roots of it. I feel like that happened with other sports as well. So it's really cool that we were able to capture this um, when we did today. So grateful to have him on the pod.
It's so funny. I love that he started the interview saying, I had no business sense. But throughout the entire book, he's telling stories like, I had no idea how to do PR, but then I called this news agency and I pitched this to
Yeah,
them and I wrote this
I
thing
got
up and
Miller
I
Lite.
got
Yeah,
Miller Lite to
I'm
do
like
this.
what?
He's just his, from what I picked up and from reading this book, what I picked up was his infectious joy for what he's trying to sell, whether it was sponsorships for disc golf, putting disc golf courses in the ground. He was willing to put his money where his mouth is, figuratively and literally. And because of that, people were like, well, yeah, of course I want this guy involved with whatever he says he wants to do. And you read throughout the book too, there's little messages from people uh writing such nice things about him. There's a quote from Valerie Jenkins here. Tom poured his heart and soul into disc golf, envisioning its potential long before others could see it. He's a true trailblazer for the sport, and he has countless stories and events to prove it. And this is just a couple. And to have him be 80 years old and still as joyful about this and being able to remove his ego and just be like, yeah, UC just put on the show of a lifetime at the World Championships, just to like get his own accomplishments out of the way and just take in how far we've come makes me so happy. And I hope we can all take a little something away from that. I remember last year hearing players say a couple times, I overheard touring professional players say disc golf is dying. And I I had to like kind of step back and go, wow, what a wild perspective to have when
Yeah.
someone like this sees where we are and thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I think we can all take a little something from Tom. That was just a wonderful interview. And Nate, I know it meant a lot to you to have him on the show as well.
Yeah, Tom came up to me at DeLa last year, or I think it might have been 2 years ago, and he was like, I want to interview you, Nate. And I was just like taken back. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm no champion. And he's like, the way that you've let disc golf carry you around the world and lead you to love. And I'm just like, what? Did this man really just say that? For him to even recognize that and to be excited about it says just a lot. And yeah, his enthusiasm, you can feel it. And I think that's I've said it before. I think I've said it on the pod. I really think enthusiasm is the fountain of youth. And whatever it may be, enthusiasm about life in general, or something that you're really into, like disc golf, it really can play a big role in your overall well-being. So really cool to feel that from Tom. And yeah, good job, Brian. Really good questions for him navigating throughout the book like that.
Well, it's also easy because of how enjoyable the book is, and you can feel his energy. Even though he mentioned someone else helped him write it, you
That's
could
cool.
tell they really took what he said to heart, and the story was just wonderful. With that said, hopefully y'all had a great Thanksgiving. Yeah, it's time to be thankful for the people that paved the way, and now we as a community have to take this and recognize how excited he still is, and we need to be that. We need to be the ones that carry the torch into the next generation, the next chapter. It's not going to just be in the Olympics overnight. It's going to take a lot of belief from a lot of people, whether you're a fan, you're a local course designer, whether you're someone who runs a course and helps to maintain it, or you're a player out there in the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We all are in this together. And yeah, what a great day. Bye. That's it. It's over. Show's over, guys. Bye. See ya. It should be off by now. See ya.